Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Minahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com. Hey folks, my name is Nick, this is Board Game Brawl, and today we're going to be taking a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Wordwright, and it is from the company Defined Mind. Now if you like what you see throughout the rest of this preview video, I'm going to encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page. There's going to be a little card up in the top corner of your screen that you can click on. Pull that down, it'll take you to the Kickstarter page, the link that you find there. Also in the description section underneath this video, you'll find the link directly to the Kickstarter page. Find out more information than I could possibly tell you here, and hopefully consider backing the project. Now, Wordwright is, as the name implies, a word game. In fact, a Wordwright is by definition, is someone who creates words, and that's what the whole point of the game is. However, this is not just a game where you bust it out and play one game. Rather, it is an open-ended system, similar to a deck of playing cards that can be used to play a multitude, hundreds of different games. You can use a Wordwright deck. It's called a Wordwright kit in order to play many, many different types of games. Games strictly illustrated in depicted in the rulebook, but also games of your own design or that other people make as well. It's a very open-ended system in that regard. But generally speaking, all the cards have different prefixes, suffixes, and root words, and variations thereof, together with definitions and point values, and you use these as the basis for a multitude of different games. Let me go ahead and give you some examples of what I'm talking about. Then we're going to come back. I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the Wordwright kit. Now, this is an open-ended game system, similar to a standard deck of playing cards, in the sense that with that deck of cards, you can use it to play a multitude of different games. And the game standard rulebook actually dictates, I believe, 7 or 8 different games that you can play, and you can certainly make up your own using the cards that come in the game. So I have one set up here, which I'll explain in a moment, but let me just give you a taste of what I'm talking about with these cards. So each of the cards is going to look something like this. So the few things of note here. First, you're going to have either a prefix, a suffix, or a root word that is going to be depicted on the card. You'll have it twice on the card so that you can see what the card is no matter how you're seated at the table and looking at the cards. And then underneath that, you're going to have variations of that same concept. So the whole point of the game is to be making words. And although the way that you do that and what your goals are by making those words is going to be different. But that's the core concept. But it is you always have different options based on the word or the prefix or suffix that you have. You have different variations. So you can always use these in place of the main root that is on the card. You even have a brief definition of exactly what it is. So sieve, this root, is to take, to seize, or to hold, and the variations would be sept and sieve. So these are parts of words that you can create. Up in the top corner, you have a number that's going to be points, anywhere from 1 to 3, for any of the game variations that require that have you keeping track of your points. Here's another example. You have act, able. So usually when it's a prefix or suffix, it will have a hyphen indicating that that is so. You actually have wild cards as well, which, again, depending on the game mode, can be something different, but generally it just means you can use this in place of a prefix, suffix, or root word, but notice that there's no number there. That means that no matter the game mode, it's generally not going to score you any points. So I'm just going to show you a few different ways that you can play it based on the different game modes that are detailed in the book. This is the pyramid, and basically what's happening here is that you and the other players are working together in teams in order to build up words starting from the bottom of the pyramid and working your way up in order to clear out the pyramid using the cards that are not only in the different levels of the pyramid, but also in 3 separate discard piles that you will create at the start of the game. You're also going to be, every round of the game, putting a card from the top of the deck on top of one of the discard piles, which gives you another option. So whatever card is on top of each of the different discards, you are allowed to use in order to clear out these different words. So for instance, just, I'm bad at doing these things on the fly, but you could do informed, and clear that out. But cards from the bottom row are going to block the top row, so you can't make use of those unless you are using like all of the cards together and then even seeping up into the next row and using another card as well. Next, I'm going to show you the word scramble game. Word Scramble is very fast and frenetic play. Each player who is playing in the game is trying to score as many points as possible. You're going to shuffle up the deck of cards at the beginning and put out 9 randomized cards. And then when everyone is ready, you're going to flip over every single card that is there on the table. I just so happen to, there'll be upside down, but you'll get it. See, that's why they have the words in both places. So we're going to flip over every single card and then say go, and players are going to start yelling out different word combinations, and when they yell out a word combination, they are able to take it off the table, and that is going to count as points for them at the end of the game. So I can say distract and immediately take those 2 cards, and that's going to get me 5 points right there. And then someone else can say portable and take those 2 cards, and that's going to be 3 points. And whenever it gets to the point where there are no more words to make from the words that are out there, you're going to shuffle up and deal out new cards. And you're going to keep doing this, and players are going to keep gathering cards and getting points until you have gone through the entire deck of cards. Lastly, for this overview, I'm going to show you the different gameplay mode called Writer's Group. In Writer's Group, depending on the number of players, each player is going to get up to 7 cards into their hand. And I have this set up for a 3-player game with the rest of the cards off here to the side. And what you're going to do, you're going to take turns playing down a number of cards down to the table to form together words. If it's your first initial play, you must play 4 cards down onto the table to form a word. If you can't do that, you have to draw a card from the stack. And players are going to keep doing this, playing, but then after that you can play 1 or however many cards you want down to the table, but you have to keep playing cards, and if you ever can't, you're going to have to draw another card from the deck. But the goal of the game, of this particular game, is to get rid of all of your cards in hand, and the first person to do that is going to end the game. You'll score points as usual, but you're also going to get bonus points for being the first, second, or third person to be out. So, for instance, I know this isn't 4 cards, but I'm just proud of myself for having put this together. On my turn, I might put down, let's say it's a further round in the game, I might put down in transients. I can use im as in, that's a variation of it, and then put in trans, and ients is a variation of ents, so in transients. But of course I am supposed to play 4 for the first one, but then after that you can play as many as you want. Players are going to keep doing this until someone gets out, and then you're going to add up your points. So those are just 3 ways that you can play Wordwright. It's all about making words. That is the core thing that all these games have in common, and of course you're free to make up your own. This is the Wordwright kit. Let's get to my final thoughts. Accessibility and education are the first 2 words that pop into my mind when I think about Wordwright. First and foremost, it's just a very easy game for people to get into. If English is a language that you know at all, you're going to easily fall into this and be able to put words together and have fun competing against other players in order to do so. But let's say that English is not your first language. Let's say that you want to get better at English, or maybe English is your first language, but you're just not very good with vocabulary or putting words together or getting them together in a coherent way. That's another great thing that Wordwright can be used for, and that's as an educational tool. So in that regard, there's a lot of variety here in just one Wordwright kit for you to use and to make use of, both as a entertainment tool, but also as an educational tool with people of all ages, all backgrounds, all nationalities and ethnicities. Anyone who has a desire to either flex their vocabulary muscles or to learn to flex their vocabulary muscles and strengthen it to get it better is going to find something to latch onto in Wordwright. The variety of games that you could potentially make with this is, I mean, it's potentially unlimited, but even just with the amount of games that they have in the rulebook, you have a lot of variety there. Whatever appeals to your group the most. Maybe you just want something a little more casual, where you're just doing like writer's group and putting down card combinations as best you can and be the first one to go out. Or maybe something more frenetic like the word scramble, like frantically trying to grab cards. Whatever appeals to your group the most, you can gravitate towards that kind of gameplay. And a lot of the fun can also be coming up with your own game based on what you have there, based on these rather simple cards that can be expanded out into something much more complex, depending again upon the what your group is the most interested in. Like I said, I think it's very accessible for groups of all ages. The cards and the graphic design are very clear cut. It's not going to be difficult for anyone to get into this. It's very simple to grasp the concept right away, but it gives more complexity through what it potentially offers rather than just the basic rules that you have there. So in that case, again, it's very easy for people to get into. So if you fall into any of those different types of categories, if you think that strengthening your vocabulary and having fun fun with vocabulary, is something that's going to appeal to you, like so many other different types of word games that have come before it, but this one putting a much different spin on it, then you definitely want to go to the Kickstarter project page. I'm going to have a link in the top corner of your screen and also down in the description section of the video. Don't take my word for it. Go to the Kickstarter page, find out more information about this unique word game, and hopefully consider backing the project. That is Wordwright from the company Defined Mind. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.